So the Indiana Fever fans are furious with this signing. Absolutely furious with the fact the Fever have signed someone who appears to be a Caitlyn Clark hater in Brianna Turner.
The Indiana Fever just shook up the entire fan base with a major move. They signed Brianna Turner. But in less than 24 hours, she somehow managed to turn that excitement into a full-blown disaster. That's right. Within a single day, Turner went from the team's latest star signing to public enemy number one.
Brianna Turner, Sky fans hate her. Like, there is no player the Sky fans hated more than Bri Turner, who came on a big contract, a genuinely big contract.
Here's where it gets wild. Turner didn't just ruffle a few feathers, she ignited a full-blown revolt. Fans are already demanding she be cut before she's even played a single game. What on earth did she do to cause such a storm? And how will this affect the Fever's season hopes? We've got the inside scoop, and believe me, you won't want to miss this.
So it looked like the Fever front office has made a huge mistake and screwed up Caitlyn Clark for the 2025 season. They have created a hostile work.
Hard to believe, right? In less than 24 hours, Brianna Turner went from the Fever's exciting new signing to public enemy number one. Fans were hyped about landing a defensive juggernaut they thought would help propel the team up the ranks. But then, bam! Old tweets surface, and now everyone's asking, hold up, did Turner just throw shade at Caitlyn Clark?
A lot of the tweets and stuff do not look good. Do not look good from Bri Turner.
So, what did Turner actually say? She took a dig at Iowa's celebration for being NCAA runner-up, the same team where Caitlyn Clark had an epic season. Turner tweeted, Iowa will hold a celebration to honor the NCAA runner-up. All players and coaches expected this respectfully. I'm confused. Is this what a runner-up typically does? Oof. Not exactly the best way to win over your new fan base, right?
So, she tweeted this. Iowa will hold a celebration to honor the NCAA runners-up. All players and coaches expected. This is Iowa to hold a celebration. Respectfully, I'm confused. Is this what a runner-up typically does now? Haven't seen this before. But kudos to them for publicly honoring all they've accomplished this season. I'm confused. Is this what a runner-up does? It does if you're Iowa. I'm sorry, it does.
But hold up. It gets even better. When fans started calling her out, Turner didn't backpedal or apologize. Nope, she pretty much told them to take a hike. She tweeted, "Feel free to unfollow me or block me if that is bothersome to you." Yeah, not exactly a warm welcome to your new city, huh?
Let's be real. She tweeted about the whole, do you remember the whole, harassment by the journalist? Or say not by the journalist, by the paparazzi, the TMZ person who tried to ask Kennedy Carter a question. And obviously she went and made a way bigger deal about that than it should have been.
Curious how the fans reacted? Let's just say the internet lost it. Fans were absolutely freaking out online. One fan even said, "The fact that her new team's fan base has been crashing out over this and harassing her for activism says it all. It's like Turner opened a can of worms, then grabbed a fishing pole and went to town."
When Caitlyn Clark and Stephanie White and these people came out and basically said at the end of the season, and Kelsey Mitchell and all these people, she was really anti-Fever. I don't think she was necessarily anti-Caitlyn Clark with what she said, but she was anti-Fever when everyone was saying, do not platform the trolls.
Here's where things get even juicier. Turner isn't backing down at all. She's holding her ground, and now people are left wondering, what's next? Will the Fever step in and try to smooth things over? Or are they going to let Turner keep tweeting her way into more chaos?
But at the same time, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt because some of these WNBA players have probably never had paparazzi around them in their entire lives. So they might think one person kind of getting in someone's face, ask them a question on the street in a public place is harassment. And do I think on a personal level, the people doing paparazzi stuff is right and good? No, but there's a line. If we're calling that harassment, it's everything harassment.
One commentator couldn't help but point out that Turner didn't even last 24 hours before clashing with fans on Twitter. That's got to be some kind of record, right? It's like she speed ran the How to Alienate Your New Fan Base challenge.
She came out on Twitter saying we needed to platform the trolls, and when somebody responded that we need to platform the trolls and call it out, and it's the responsibility of everyone to call out all this, and it's like someone responded was like, that's the worst thing you do. These aren't people. These are literally just internet trolls that are doing it for attention. And then she basically doubled down, was like, no, you're wrong. You need to platform the trolls.
You might be thinking, is this really just about a few tweets? Can't everyone just move on? But here's the thing. In today's sports world, social media is everything. It's how players bond with fans, how teams build their brand, and sometimes how careers go off the rails before they even get going.
It was purely a college wants to celebrate greatest team in the history of the college. And she comes out and goes like, why are they doing this? Runners-up shouldn't be doing this. No one would say this word if it wasn't for Caitlyn Clark. You just know that.
Think about it. The WNBA is on the rise. Caitlyn Clark is headed to Indiana, and the Fever are getting more attention than ever. Then, here comes Brianna Turner, looking like she's ready to throw shade at the very fans who are supposed to have her back. It's like she missed the first rule of joining a new team. Don't insult the local hero.
That is the one thing where I'm like, that's the one direct thing with Caitlyn Clark. But she has essentially like not shown to be necessarily fully anti-Caitlyn Clark, but she was definitely in the group of players that you will say you could brand as saying anti-Caitlyn Clark stuff.
All right, so Turner's in deep water. What's her next move? Apologize? Try to make peace with the fans? Nope, not even close. She comes out swinging with a tweet that had everyone's jaws hitting the floor. Let me hit you with it. I will not bend the knee or change my online advocacy efforts to appease others while I anticipate receiving criticism, hostility, and invalidation. Can you believe she actually said that?
Instead of her coming in wanting a winning mentality, now Joanna Bonner had said some things online too, but what Brianna Turner just did is just completely disrespected the fan base as a whole.
You might be thinking, all right, maybe she's just standing firm on her beliefs. But here's the catch. Turner isn't just addressing social issues. She's flat out brushing off the concerns of her new fan base. And let me tell you, Fever fans are not having it. They're already demanding she be cut before she even gets a chance to step on the court.
Now, Brianna Turner is a different type of individual. Granted, she has defensive possibilities, and she's a great addition to have on a bench. But outside of that, she comes with a lot of baggage. Now, that baggage is now causing major concerns online, and people is demanding she be removed from this basketball team.
But hold up, it gets even wilder. Turner's not backing down. She's doubling down, saying she won't change for anyone. It's like she's tossing gasoline on a fire that's already raging. You've got to wonder, does she even care about winning over the fans? Or is she more focused on stirring up drama?
You didn't have no way to mediate anything to where okay, guys, I know y'all feel this way about me. Let's meet somewhere in the middle. How can we move forward this? How can we move forward and past this? Want to know what Joanna Bonner said? You can unfollow me. I'm not changing the way I feel.
Now, this isn't just about Turner. It's a full-blown crisis for the Indiana Fever. Can you imagine what's going through the front office's minds right now? They're probably in full panic mode, scrambling to figure out how to handle this disaster. Do they stand by their new player and risk pushing the fans even further away? Or do they distance themselves from Turner and risk creating tension within the team?
Now, is that something you want to say when you're newly to a team and you know the fan base seriously do not like you? Is to unfollow me? I'm not changing the way I feel. That right there showed me you don't care about the fan.
But here's where things get really interesting. Turner's attitude might be a bigger issue than anyone realized. This isn't just about one tweet or one player. It's about the whole team dynamic and how athletes have to navigate the tricky world of social media and public perception.
Now, these are the people that has to buy your tickets, watch the games, and pretty much cut your check. Now, I don't know how things was with you in Chicago. Maybe y'all was like manipulated, brainwashed, but y'all speaking out and saying things outside of basketball and sparking these race wars is the reason y'all in this position.
Think about it. In today's sports world, players aren't just athletes. They're brands, influencers, role models. And when they join a new team, they're not just swapping jerseys, they're stepping into an entire new community. But Turner? It's like she completely forgot that part of the playbook.
Brianna Turner stated, "Unfollow me." That was her exact words, bro. Simply telling the fans to unfollow her. How selfish was that?
You might be wondering, is Turner the only athlete who's ever faced backlash for speaking out? Not even close. But here's the difference. Most athletes know how to balance their personal beliefs with their role on the team. They engage with fans, build bridges, and find common ground.
Why come we can't fix the discrimination and get an understanding, meet in the middle? How can we talk this out? Because I'm here now. I know y'all not feeling what I'm putting out, but we need to talk this out instead of telling people to unfollow.
But Turner? She's taking a different approach. It's like she's saying, this is who I am. Take it or leave it. And while that might sound bold at first, it's a risky play in the world of professional sports, because at the end of the day, sports are about more than just the players on the court. They're about the fans in the stands, the community backing the team, and that shared passion for the game.
I know she knew, but we need to have some type of understanding. And we're not having an understanding when you're telling people to unfollow you. Granted, she can't take back what she said, but you don't come right here and slap the people in the face and say, you know what, I'm against this, that, this, and that. If you don't like it, unfollow me.
So, what happens next? Well, that's the million-dollar question. Will Turner stick to her guns and risk becoming a pariah in Indiana? Or will she realize that this fight might not be worth it? Will the Fever step in and try to smooth things over? Maybe make some public gestures to win back the fans? Or will they cut their losses and move on from the drama? And what about the team's chemistry? With all this tension hanging over them, how will it affect the players as they head into what was supposed to be an exciting season? What was meant to be a fresh start could end up being a messy, divisive chapter, one that could have lasting consequences on the court and off. The stakes have never been higher, and it's anyone's guess how it'll all play out.
But Caitlyn Clark did officially put out a statement on Juju Watkins on her Twitter X feed, and it's a fantastic statement. But somehow, some way, people that can't stand Caitlyn Clark are now turning this into something.
Caitlyn Clark is currently facing intense backlash simply for showing support to an injured competitor. Her well-intentioned social media post about Juju Watkins has sparked an absolute firestorm, with critics obsessing over her choice of words and questioning her motives. The sheer absurdity of this situation reveals the darker side of what should be a supportive sports community. It's unimaginable that a simple message of encouragement would lead to such aggressive attacks. Yet here we are, witnessing the relentless negativity that follows Clark at every turn.
Of course, last night during March Madness against Mississippi State, Juju Watkins suffered a horrific injury. Did a video on it this morning. Obviously, we're all pulling for her, all right, to get better. I haven't seen any Caitlyn Clark fans talking negatively about Juju Watkins and that injury or wishing it on her or anything like that. I wish I could say the same for fans of the original WNBA fans when it comes to you-know-who, Caitlyn Clark. And in fact, I think one of them made a live stream about Caitlyn's knee or something like that.
Let me break down this ridiculous situation unfolding before our eyes. Last night during March Madness, USC star Juju Watkins suffered a terrible injury against Mississippi State. It was a moment that should have brought basketball fans together to support a talented young athlete. Caitlyn Clark, as always, showed class by posting a simple and heartfelt message. Sending all my thoughts and prayers to Juju, kid will come back stronger than ever, along with a red heart emoji. A kind gesture from one athlete to another, right? But of course, in the world of Caitlyn Clark, even the most innocent message becomes ammunition for critics. Her post, viewed by over 1.2 million people, quickly sparked hateful comments, mainly focusing on the word kid. Some criticized her for using it, claiming it was disrespectful. One commenter wrote, "Kid, you're only 3 years apart." Another said, "You're not a 20-year veteran, check yourself." It even escalated when someone argued that, as a person of color, referring to someone as kid was offensive, especially in a belittling way.
Any reason to try to bring this young lady down? I guess they're jealous. I don't know what it is. Well, yeah, I do. All right. For a lot of them, it's her skin color and her sexual preference. I hate to say that. That is part of this.
Let that sink in for a moment. Caitlyn Clark offers support to an injured player, and somehow it gets twisted into accusations of disrespect, condescension, and even racial undertones. It's utterly baffling. These critics are actively looking for reasons to be offended, creating controversy where there is none.
One thing I'm going to tell you about the old WNBA fans or the new WNBA fans that are activists that have joined for the culture war, because there's two separate factions. There's the old ones that, been around and just laboring and nothing was ever popping until Caitlyn came along.
It's telling how quickly some commenters injected race into this non-issue. One person said, "I think Juju will have a problem with you calling her kid," with no evidence that Watkins was offended. These critics are creating imaginary conflicts to push their own agenda. The timing of these attacks is especially despicable. While Watkins is recovering from a serious injury, these so-called fans are using the situation to attack Clark. It's exploitative and shows a lack of respect for Watkins as well. Let's be clear, the word kid is commonly used in sports as a term of endearment, not disrespect. Coaches, teammates, and competitors of all ages and races use it. There's nothing condescending about it, particularly in this context, where Clark was offering support, not lecturing Watkins. What's happening here is typical of what Clark has faced since rising to national prominence. Every word, every gesture, every expression is scrutinized and misinterpreted by those eager to tear her down. The mental gymnastics it takes to twist a supportive message into an offense is remarkable. Some of this hatred clearly stems from factors beyond basketball, Clark's skin color and sexual preference, as some critics have pointed out. While blunt, there's truth to this. Clark represents something uncomfortable for certain segments of the WNBA fan base, and they're looking for any excuse to vilify her. This pattern isn't new. From the moment Clark began breaking records, a vocal minority has been offended by her success. Ironically, if Watkins had used kid in a supportive message to Clark, these critics wouldn't have batted an eye. Their outrage is selective and fueled by their pre-existing dislike of Clark. The double standard is impossible to ignore. Clark is held to an impossibly high standard, where even her most benign, supportive statements are twisted into something sinister. Meanwhile, incidents of unsportsmanlike conduct directed at her, like the cheap shots and unnecessary roughness she faced last season, were either ignored or defended as part of the game by many of the same people now upset by the word kid. The hypocrisy is staggering. This situation distracts from what should be the focus: Watkins' injury and recovery. Instead of supporting a talented athlete facing adversity, these critics hijack the narrative to fuel their anti-Clark agenda. It's disrespectful to both Clark and Watkins. Importantly, there's no indication that Watkins took offense to Clark's message. These critics aren't defending Watkins. They're using her injury to continue their campaign against Clark. This is exploitation, not advocacy. Clark can't win in this toxic environment. If she hadn't said anything, critics would have accused her of being insensitive. When she does offer support, they dissect her words, looking for any potential offense. The scrutiny she faces is unprecedented. Every post, every expression is analyzed and often deliberately misinterpreted. Imagine the mental toll of knowing that even your kindest gestures will be twisted against you. No athlete should have to bear that burden. What's happening to Clark isn't just unfair to her, it's damaging to women's basketball. The WNBA is growing, with record viewership and attendance, largely thanks to Clark's popularity. Yet some established fans seem resentful of this attention, creating a hostile environment. Think about the message this sends to new fans discovering women's basketball through Clark. They tune in excited about a new star, only to see the vicious attacks and manufactured controversies surrounding her. How many potential lifelong fans are being driven away by this toxic atmosphere?
Her, Kelsey, and Aaliyah, Boston, they had something special the second half of the season, and I just look at them as a young, hungry team. Our veteran president with Joanna Barner, Natasha, and me coming from winning programs who have been around the league for a long time and can help infuse something in that team that could take them far in the playoffs, bruh.
Sydney Colson just dropped the bombshell on why she made the jump from the Aces to the Indiana Fever, and spoiler alert, it wasn't for the cornfields. Was it Caitlyn Clark's insane three-point range? A covert operation to add some comedy to the Midwest? Or maybe just an elite-level prank? One thing's for sure, Colson never does anything without leaving a little humor in her wake.
So Sydney Colson is obviously a player for the Indiana Fever. Someone signed to be Caitlyn Clark's backup, and she is I think she's going to be a solid player.
Sydney Colson finally spilled the tea on her move to the Indiana Fever, and let's just say, she didn't hold anything back. This wasn't some dull, "I'm excited for a new opportunity" speech. Nah, Colson came through with the kind of energy you'd expect from someone who's been itching to drop the details, ready to break it all down like a hyper-excited sports analyst with a comedy degree. The biggest takeaway? The Fever's glow-up is about to be straight-up terrifying.
Championship experience is a whole new thing, and then coming off the bench, backing up Caitlyn Clark, helping her with little things, just the knowledge that she's going to be able to give Caitlyn Clark is going to be absolutely fantastic. But why did she leave the Aces? Well, if you see some of these stats and some of this information I'm going to put out, you can be like, you're going to understand why it was time for her to go.
Now, if you blinked last season, you might have totally missed the Fever's wild turnaround. They kicked things off looking like they were just happy to be invited to the party, tripping over their own feet, spilling drinks, and forgetting defense even existed. But somewhere along the way, they decided to stop embarrassing themselves and actually play some basketball. The second half of the season, a completely different vibe. They went from, oh, bless their hearts, to, wait, are they actually good? And trust me, Colson was paying attention.
It was only a matter of time before Sydney Colson got to rubbing her hands together like Birdman to tell it all, dog. And that's exactly what she did in a recent interview. Now, we know Sydney Colson came over to the Fever from the Las Vegas Aces.
According to Colson, that comeback wasn't just a fluke. It was a warning shot. The Fever figured things out late last season, and now, with Caitlyn Clark in the mix, yeah, Colson didn't hold back. This team is about to be downright terrifying. Like, hide your favorite team's playoff dreams terrifying. Like, we're taking receipts terrifying. And Colson? She was all in on the chaos.
Sydney reveal, I am very excited for this new opportunity with Indiana. I know several players and coaches from the Fever, and I trust what I know about them, Colson said. I'm excited to be a part of the vision that the staff has for this team, and I'm ready to get to work.
Let's be real, she could have stuck with the Aces, where winning feels like a given at this point. But where's the fun in that? That's like playing a video game on easy mode. Colson wanted the challenge, the drama, the chance to be part of something on the rise, not something that's already been built. The Fever weren't offering her a seat on a championship train. They handed her a hammer and said, "Help us finish this." And honestly, that makes perfect sense. If there's anyone who thrives on being underestimated, it's Sydney Colson. The woman spent years proving she's not just a locker room presence or a social media star, but a legit hooper who can make a difference on the court. Now, she's got the chance to do it with a team that's hungry, scrappy, and, if you ask her, absolutely ready.
She said it's a much easier transition now they have a year under their belts together, which would be scary. I'll be interested to be up close and personal with Caitlyn and see what it's like day to day. And yeah, like that's the thing where it's like this team goes where Caitlyn goes. Like I think everyone kind of knows that, where it's like even last year with the team, when Caitlyn didn't play well, they only beat the dream.
Colson isn't done yet. While Caitlyn Clark gets the spotlight, Colson reminds everyone this isn't a one-woman show. The Fever already have young stars like Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, and Nalissa Smith. And now they've added even more talent. This team is different, she says, confidently predicting their future success. How? They're done being the should-win team. The Fever are entering this season with a villainous edge, ready to prove they should have been taken seriously before. Colson's bold attitude, humor, and charisma make her the perfect fit for a squad with something to prove. She'll talk, stir things up, and back it up.
It was just an exciting opportunity. My time with the Aces was wonderful, and we created history in a lot of ways. And they'll always be my Aces family, and I'll miss those fans and everything. But I felt God was leading me in another direction, and sometimes stuff can feel uncomfortable, but you not necessarily feeling like you're ready to take a step back. But I think that's usually when you need to. So that was what I needed to do. Now that was Sydney Colson, man.
Sydney Colson didn't just join the Fever. She's all in on the chaos. The underdog story is about to become a nightmare for the league. And if you're not paying attention yet, you will soon. Colson keeps cranking it up, talking smack and backing it up. This time, she's got a lot to say about Caitlyn Clark, the Fever's veteran moves, and how they're setting Clark up to become a league-wide nightmare.
They went up and snatched Sid Colson from the Aces. She is 100% vibes. She is 100% going to be a backup for Caitlyn. It's going to be fantastic. Backup for Kelsey. Like, she is a great addition to this backcourt. She has senior leadership. She has championship experience. She is the most fun ever.
Caitlyn Clark enters the WNBA with huge expectations, but Colson isn't worried. She made it clear that Clark won't be alone in this. The WNBA is tougher than college, and no one's giving Clark an easy ride. Colson emphasized that having experienced players around Clark is key, and they're not just guiding her, they're changing the culture. While the Fever showed promise last season, this year, with veteran leadership, they're ready to win and push the young players beyond just improvement.
Hopefully y'all remember how fantastic Sydney Colson was in the 2023 WNBA Finals. That's what Sydney Colson can offer. Yes, Sydney Colson did not play a lot of minutes with the Aces, but she could have. The thing that I love about Sydney Colson is that she's all fun and games. She's all silly. She's all enjoying her time. She is a boatload of fun. That is the life of the party right there. But when it comes to playing, when it comes to locking in and getting all set for the game, Sydney Colson's all business. Yeah, she could be silly and whatnot, but when she step on that court, she's business, right? Inside those lines, she is all about her goal, which her goal is to play some really good defense and take care of the ball. And that's what she does. And that's exactly why the Indiana Fever has signed Sydney Colson. Because yes, she is a great locker room fit, but also when you talk about someone who can play defense, that's something that the Indiana...
Caitlyn Clark will be great, but she'll be even better with her squad, including Colson, who doesn't downplay her own greatness. Colson's part of a Fever team stacking weapons and building confidence, ready to make noise in the WNBA. Aces fans, however, weren't happy when Colson signed with the Fever. Aces Twitter exploded with words like betrayal as the Fever kept adding talent, turning a rebuild into a full-on takeover mission. Aces fans were not handling it well.
The Fever better get a ring with this because Sydney Colson is a two-time WNBA champion, a true vet, an amazing backup point guard. And anytime that CC or any of the guards need to go to the bench, I mean, Sydney Colson always makes the right call, always makes the right decision.
A'ja Wilson tried to keep it together, but after a season of poor team chemistry, she admitted, "We didn't play our best." The real shock came when she said, "We had some things going on," hinting at locker room issues. With Colson leaving soon after, fans quickly connected the dots, and the drama unfolded. Was Colson the problem, or did she just leave at the right time? Theories are flying. Some say the Aces were already falling apart, and Colson made her exit perfectly. Others believe she was the glue holding the team together. Either way, the Aces were spiraling, and Vegas fans weren't happy. Meanwhile, Fever fans were watching, and Colson? She was in Indiana, likely enjoying the chaos, knowing she always lands on her feet.
Caitlyn Clark just did something that no athlete has done since Michael Jordan.
Remember when Michael Jordan's name was pure marketing magic, turning every product he endorsed into a must-have item? Well, a new star is taking the sports world by storm, and she's just out of college. Caitlyn Clark has signed a deal so revolutionary that it's making WNBA veterans break out in a cold sweat.
But she's incredible. Congratulations to her and her family. Yeah. Like the crazy thing is I'm just seeing her last year when they played LSU, but she's phenomenal.
But here's the truth. Clark isn't just selling merchandise. She's packing arenas to capacity. In this video, we'll unveil Clark's game-changing deal with Michael Jordan and break down why some WNBA stars on the sidelines are frowning in frustration. Stay tuned, because by the end, we'll share Jordan's inspiring remarks and reveal the unique basketball statistic that only his royal airness and Caitlyn share. Ready to dive in? Let's get started.
Where he's like Wayne Gretzky, Michael Jordan, probably eventually Caitlyn Clark, where it's like individual people make an entire country tune into their sport.
1,000%.
Like hockey was never bigger than when Wayne Gretzky was playing it, and it was ridiculous how much it grew the sport.
Tiger Woods.
Imagine a basketball star so exceptional that her gear flies off the shelves in minutes. Now, picture the talent behind it all. That's exactly what's happening with Caitlyn Clark's groundbreaking partnership with Wilson Sporting Goods. This isn't just another endorsement, it's a transformative deal that's sending shockwaves through the sports arena. Wilson has appointed Clark as the first female athlete to launch her own signature basketball collection since Michael Jordan back in the 1980s. Take a moment to let that sink in. We're witnessing a level of recognition and marketability that was once exclusive to the all-time greats. And now, it's Caitlyn Clark stepping into that elite league.
Making her the first athlete since Michael Jordan to get their own signature basketball from Wilson. She also becomes the first WNBA player to get her own signature basketball from Wilson.
What really sets this deal apart is how fast it took off. Caitlyn Clark's limited edition basketballs hit shelves and vanished in a flash. We're talking tens of thousands of units sold out in under 40 minutes. That's the sort of buying frenzy you'd expect for a new PlayStation or exclusive sneaker launches. So, what makes these basketballs so special? Each one is a mini masterpiece commemorating Clark's phenomenal college career. Envision white and gold designs, laser etched with her most iconic highlights. There's the Free Up, a tribute to her pinpoint shooting, the Record Breaker, marking her history-making feats, and the Crowd Maestro, honoring her ability to electrify an entire arena. And if that weren't enough, she just dropped another collection in partnership with the $15 billion chain prohibit sports.
Calling all Caitlyn Clark fans, 2 new limited edition basketballs are now available at select Hy-Vee stores. The designs are part of the Inspire series that Clark is doing in partnership with Wilson Sporting Goods. The tribute ball pays homage to Clark's time with the Iowa women's basketball team, and the Dreamer Ball is designed to encourage athletes to pursue their dreams. Both are available in sizes 3 and 6 at select Hy-Vee locations.
Wilson didn't choose Clark solely for her basketball prowess. They recognized a rising cultural figure. As Amanda Lamb, Wilson's global brand director, put it, Caitlyn Clark is not just a record-breaking athlete, but a cultural phenomenon who's reshaping the game. Think about the gravity of that. Wilson has been supplying basketballs for the NBA for ages and took over the WNBA contract in 2020. Now they're placing a massive bet on Clark to front their women's basketball line, a clear indicator that the landscape of women's sports marketing is evolving, with Clark at its epicenter. But here's the real game changer. Clark's partnership with Wilson doesn't just elevate her own career, it's redefining the possibilities for all female athletes in the sports marketing sphere. And as we're about to discover, it's stirring up plenty of buzz in WNBA locker rooms.
And when you take into stock the fact that outside of Kevin Durant, aging superstar, LeBron James, damn near 40 years old, and Steph Curry, there's not a single NBA player more popular today than Caitlyn Clark.
They say numbers don't lie, but when it comes to Caitlyn Clark, the numbers aren't just talking, they're shouting from the rooftops. How is one player tripling viewership, and what does it mean for the future of women's basketball? Let's break it down. Clark's impact on the WNBA isn't just big, it's record-shattering. We're talking about a star who's not just playing the game, but changing how people watch it. Picture this, arenas packed to the rafters, TV ratings through the roof, and a buzz around women's basketball that we haven't seen, well, ever.
We knew Caitlyn Clark was marketable, but she's been put over some pretty big names. In fact, some worldwide, huge, international names. 2 of them being Messi and Ronaldo.
Let's talk about Caitlyn Clark's viewership stats for a moment. Her games are drawing an average of over 1 million viewers. That's not just impressive, it's 3 times the usual WNBA audience. Let that sink in. A single player is tripling the league's numbers. It's almost like she's got a magic volume knob, and she's turning women's basketball all the way up.
For Caitlyn Clark, on a worldwide marketability list for athletes, to be ahead of both Messi and Ronaldo is quite impressive. I mean, she's ahead of Steph Curry. Steph Curry is behind her on the list.
But it's not just about the stats. Clark is pulling in viewers who've never watched a WNBA game in their lives. How? By playing with a flair and intensity you can't ignore. She's not simply racking up points, she's generating highlight reels that fans can't stop passing around. Don't just take my word for it, though. Listen to Mike Breen, the voice of the NBA.
She's doing rating-wise for the WNBA what Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Steph Curry have been doing for the NBA.
That's more than just high praise. It places Clark alongside the true titans of basketball. But here's the real twist. She's not only dominating on the court, she's also become a marketing force to be reckoned with. Experts now rank her as the 4th most marketable athlete across the entire sports landscape, not just in women's basketball or the WNBA, but in all of athletics. That level of influence reshapes games, leagues, and the entire framework of sports marketing. So, what's next? With Clark at the forefront, expect major changes in how the WNBA promotes itself. We're talking fresh sponsorships, increased primetime broadcasts, and a whole new wave of mainstream interest in women's basketball. Of course, not everyone is celebrating. Some of the league's seasoned players are watching this rookie phenomenon with clenched jaws and raised eyebrows. And that's where things start to get complicated.
The idea of some players being jealous, yes, that probably exists.
Okay.
To me, yeah, jealous, sure. I mean, would you be jealous of somebody that got $28 million a shoe deal or whatever the deal is before you step foot in the pros?
Picture this, a newcomer setting the league on fire, shattering 62 records and mesmerizing crowds. Sounds like a dream for the WNBA, right? Well, not everyone is applauding. As Caitlyn Clark's star continues to ascend, some seasoned players are feeling the pressure, and it's not exactly pleasant. Let's get real. The WNBA has spent years battling for respect and recognition. Veteran athletes have poured in sweat, blood, and tears to establish something extraordinary. Then, along comes Clark, and it's as though she flipped the script with one simple truth. Her game is just that good.
And what a lot of people weren't willing or were a bit reluctant to appreciate was the game on this young white sister of ours. She can ball. And oh, by the way, she was a great ambassador for the game. And by the way, she came in there and looked out for everybody else. For 22 years, they couldn't get chartered flights. That sister got there, and it was done in 2 weeks. That's who Caitlyn Clark is.
This isn't just a few annoyed whispers. We're talking full-on tension during matchups. Certain players are coming at Clark with an intensity that goes way beyond regular competition. It's as if they're sending a direct message, you might be the rising star, but this is our territory.
They try so long to get respect for women's basketball, and then they treat it like a junior high school girl's locker room. Junior high school girl antics on the court. Instead of playing the game, they gotta be drama because they're jealous. Instead of letting their skills speak for themselves, they gotta be drama because they're jealous.
So why the friction? It's not a one-note story. On the one hand, Clark's skyrocketing fame means lucrative endorsement deals and immediate name recognition. On the other, you have long-standing WNBA pros who've been hustling for years with only a fraction of the spotlight. It's creating a noticeable rift you just can't ignore.
Caitlyn Clark, she declined an invitation to participate in a special challenge during NBA All-Star Weekend next month. That's what Shams reported on Wednesday. Now, Clark's representatives, they expressed her desire to have her first three-point contest be at the WNBA All-Star in Indianapolis this summer. Shanae, I'm not mad at it. What do you make of this decision?
Look, I not only respect it, I absolutely wholeheartedly support.
Well, it's official, you guys. Caitlyn Clark is not competing in the three-point contest at NBA All-Star.
What happens when the biggest star in women's basketball says no to the NBA? Caitlyn Clark, a record-breaking force and trailblazer on the court, just did exactly that. In a move that's sparking controversy and shaking up sports media, Clark turned down an invitation to join the NBA's three-point contest at All-Star Weekend. Rather than stepping into the spotlight as the NBA's special attraction, she's making a bold statement about where true recognition belongs. Stay tuned as we dive into how this decision is flipping the script and what it means for the future of the WNBA.
Caitlyn Clark knows how to use the word that many people struggle all their lives being able to use. Some of us never get it till we're old and just don't care no more. The word, take a guess. Take a guess.
Controversy, debate, and, of course, ESPN's outrage. Caitlyn Clark, the beacon of the WNBA's future, has just declined an invitation to participate in the NBA's three-point contest at All-Star Weekend.
Well, it has just been confirmed from Shams that Caitlyn Clark will not be competing in the NBA three-point contest. Indiana Fever star Caitlyn Clark will not participate in the NBA All-Star Special three-point shootout in San Francisco and wants her first three-point contest to be at WNBA All-Star in Indianapolis this summer. Her representatives at Excel Sports.
Rather than celebrating her choice, the sports media exploded into chaos. Some argue she's simply dodging the competition, while others believe she's boldly championing the WNBA. So what's the true story behind her decision? And why is ESPN so incensed? Stick around because we're unpacking every detail right now. All right, let's jump in. The Caitlyn Clark saga has been dominating headlines nonstop. In case you haven't caught wind of it, Caitlyn Clark, the undeniable superstar of women's basketball, recently declined an invitation to compete in the NBA's three-point contest during this year's All-Star Weekend. And wow, opinions are flying everywhere. From ESPN to NBA fans and WNBA supporters, everyone is weighing in as the debate continues to heat up.
The momentum that Caitlyn Clark has this season, with her being close to being the face of basketball, both men's and women's this year, I just thought it was the perfect stage. And then obviously, the possibility of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson teaming up once again back in Golden State and doing that home reunion thing, and then having Sabrina and Caitlyn. To me, it just sounded like so much fun, and it would definitely bring a little spark to NBA All-Star that NBA All-Star, unfortunately, hasn't.
Let's be honest. Caitlyn Clark is the biggest name in women's basketball right now. She's more than just a player. She's a phenomenon. Every time she steps onto the court, she shatters records, fills arenas, and pulls in huge TV audiences. So when she decided to pass on the NBA's invitation, it wasn't just a scheduling conflict, it was a powerful statement. One that clearly caught ESPN and many sports analysts off guard. So what prompted her to make this call? Is she intimidated by the competition? Did she miscalculate? Or is she strategically setting the stage for the future, making a power move that still has many scratching their heads?
Is another testament to where she is in the hierarchy of the sports food chain and, the ladder of power and influence. Because Caitlyn Clark is Steph Curry and LeBron James. Like, she's, there's no difference. A great philosopher once said there's levels to this. She's on that.
Here's the reality about Caitlyn Clark. She knows exactly what she's worth. She's not just some player thrilled to get an invite to a high-profile event. She understands that wherever she goes, the cameras roll, the money flows, and the fans rally. So when the opportunity to participate in an NBA event came along, she didn't jump at it like a rookie trying to prove herself. Instead, she made it clear, "Thanks, but I'll pass. I'll host my first three-point contest on my own terms, in my own league."
You see Caitlyn Clark using her power to benefit the WNBA, saying, not that she'd never do anything with the NBA, but that she's not going to do it this time because the first time should be with the WNBA in front of the Fever fans.
And that's exactly what's setting off a firestorm of reactions. For years, women's basketball players have been fighting tooth and nail for recognition, respect, and financial support. The WNBA has long been cast in the shadow of the NBA, and whenever a female athlete earns a smidgen of mainstream acclaim, there's this lingering expectation that she should be grateful for even the smallest scraps of attention from the men's league. But Caitlyn Clark isn't subscribing to that narrative, she's rewriting it. She made it abundantly clear that she wants her inaugural three-point contest to take place at the WNBA All-Star Game, right in front of her hometown fans in Indiana. And let's be real, that's a savvy move. Why settle for being the NBA's special guest when she can be the headliner of her own show? Why help prop up the NBA's All-Star Weekend ratings when she can shine the spotlight on the WNBA instead? Of course, not everyone is on board with her decision. The moment she turned down the offer, sports analysts went into overdrive. ESPN pundits began to debate whether she was making a grave error, questioning her judgment, while the usual skeptics claimed she was merely dodging competition. Dodging competition? Come on. Caitlyn Clark has never shied away from a challenge. She's been demolishing defenses and shattering records her entire career. If she really wanted to join the NBA's three-point contest, she'd be more than capable of holding her own. But that's precisely the point. She refused because she knows her worth, and she refuses to let others call the shots for her. Stephen A. Smith, as per usual, had a lot to say on the matter. For once, He actually backed Clark's decision, though not without throwing in some of his trademark commentary. He noted that last year's WNBA All-Star Game smashed records by drawing in 3.4 million viewers, while the NBA's All-Star Game struggled to hit numbers anywhere near its former glory. The NBA's All-Star Weekend has been losing its luster, no secret there, and it's obvious they were banking on Caitlyn Clark to give them a ratings boost. Let's break that down for a moment. The NBA isn't exactly at its prime during All-Star Weekend. The dunk contest has lost its charm, and even the All-Star Game itself is treated more like a casual exhibition than a true contest. Viewership has been on a steady decline, and the overall energy just isn't what it used to be. So when Caitlyn Clark enters the picture, a player who's been single-handedly driving TV ratings through the roof and filling arenas, it's clear the NBA saw a golden opportunity. And frankly, from their standpoint, it made total sense. Imagine the buzz. Caitlyn Clark going head-to-head with the NBA's best in a three-point contest. The intrigue alone would pull in millions of viewers. But that's exactly why she declined. She recognized that she was being positioned merely as a ratings tool, and she wasn't about to let that happen. Let's not kid ourselves. If she had accepted, the aftermath would have been just as contentious, albeit for different reasons. A win might have been dismissed as merely a shooting contest, not genuine competition. A loss would have fueled claims that the WNBA just can't compare to the NBA. There was no scenario in which she could emerge unscathed in that setup. Instead, she delivered a bold message. The WNBA matters. She's not a novelty act or a side attraction for the NBA's All-Star Weekend. She's the star of her own league. This move might just be one of the most significant power plays we've seen from a women's basketball player in a long time. It's not about avoiding one contest. It's about transforming the narrative around the WNBA. For too long, critics have argued that women's sports depend on the men's leagues to survive, that without the NBA's support, the WNBA couldn't flourish. But Caitlyn Clark is proving that theory wrong. She's driving ticket sales, setting new records, and making women's basketball a must-watch spectacle all on its own. Consider this. Just last year, the WNBA saw a surge in both viewership and merchandise sales. The Indiana Fever, the team Clark plays for, accounted for nearly half of the league's entire broadcast value. Half. That's a staggering figure, and it's all thanks to her influence. She's demonstrating that the WNBA doesn't need to rely on the NBA's leftovers to thrive. It can stand tall with its own stars, its own storylines, and its own dedicated fan base. That's why this decision is so monumental. She's setting a new standard. She's telling the next generation of female athletes, you don't have to latch onto the men's league for validation. You can be the main event in your own right. And the impact is already evident. What began as a decision over a three-point contest has blossomed into a full-blown conversation about the future of women's basketball. That's the magnitude of her influence. So yes, ESPN might be seething, the NBA might feel let down, and some fans might be left scratching their heads. But Caitlyn Clark is in complete control of her narrative. She's playing the long game, building something far bigger than a single contest. And honestly, you have to respect that.